I mean, would you consider your unit an example of a learning organization? It sounds like you might. And what have you guys done that might facilitate some of
Yeah, I would. I mean, I've never used that term, but I'm sort of vaguely familiar with it. A couple of things come to mind. I mean, the first thing is I'll tell you is you kind of have to keep challenging people. And again, if you look back to this idea of I want talented individual contributors, I'm
that?
kind of recruiting from this nutty bunch of people that don't want a desk job. They don't want to just sit down and do the same thing every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those people are fun and they're awesome and they're really good, but they're also like, they're like wild animals. They get bored, you know?
Right.
And so you kind of have to keep feeding them new and interesting work. Well, I tell you what, you have to go through periods of maintenance. It's like after you implemented Canvas, I mean, those guys nailed it. I mean, I've never worked with a better team that had more success. But now my commando team is, basically back on base, make your bed, march.
Right.
And they're like, this sucks. Like, we want to go blow something up. But I think that, the idea of a learning organization is very appealing, but the friction on the other side is that you've got to find a way to continually reset what you're doing to keep them engaged. So, I can't say, I want you to spend this year, going hard and migrating to a single LMS. And then I want you to spend the whole next year just, making sure it's running, just doing the same trainings over and over again, because you're kind of like, it's almost like you feel like you need two different sets of people to do that. So I think that in order to be a learning organization, so to speak, you kind of have to keep resetting what you're doing, and you have to kind of find ways to make sure you're doing the maintenance while you continually excite people about the next thing. Another challenge with that kind of learning organization, especially any kind of high impact organization, is that excellence becomes the new norm,
Mm-hmm.
And in some sense it's hard because like everyone's already forgotten how crappy it was to have two LMSs. They have one, but now that's just de facto. Like, we earn the praise and the credit for that, but now it's just kind of like, what it doesn't do. It's not, so people have short memories. So part of that resetting, I think, is also necessary because you can't let your excellence becomes the next, you become your own worst enemy. You become, your own bar. There was something else I was going to say too about this that I think, I know, is something I've done to kind of try to do with individuals is I have this sort of philosophy that says, if you work for me, there's job number one that you have to do. And there's the job that is your job. Like in our case, job number one is, I joke, it's answering the phone, right? You're supporting faculty or students, or you should never tell someone you can't fix a problem or help a faculty member unless you're already fixing a problem or helping a faculty member. But since that's not evenly distributed, there's lots of time you're not doing anything. And I try to have this idea of like special projects, and the definition of a special project is something that's important to the organization. It's something that you personally want to do, and it's something that will develop skills in you that will eventually make it so I can't afford to pay you what you're worth. And this is my kind of like Deadwood antidote. I'm like, I don't want to work with people who think they can't work at another place. I don't want to work with people who think that they've got as far in their career as they can go. I don't want to work with those people. I don't want them on my team. I don't want them around. And because to me, that's a kind of a point in your life of where you're defeated and you don't care and you stop learning and you stop developing. And so I work really, really hard to make sure that, my team feels like, I'm learning new things. I'm experiencing new challenges. I'm getting better at what I want to get better at.
Yeah.
And that is a crazy balancing act because, like everybody can't do all the fun stuff, but I think that's part of how you do it. And you'll hear me talk a million times, and it doesn't matter how long I ever, how far I go in an organization. It's always going to be about the individuals. It's never about the collective. I mean, the collective is an incredibly powerful thing that results from the individuals, but you got to take care of all the individuals.